Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. This is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, and this is the Duron Morning Show. This is episode 30. I'm glad we've made it this far, and if you've been rocking with me this far, I appreciate you. Welcome to any new live listeners or anybody that's watching this for the first time on any social media platform. Like I said, I appreciate you. We've been going hard. This is episode 30, and I'm calling it TV Time Tuesday, which is probably one of the worst captions I came up with. Maybe you like it, but it was I never lie to you guys. It was pretty last minute. I was working on my house pretty late last night, so I didn't plan for the show as well as I usually do. So I had to think about what I was going to talk about this morning, and as I wrote in the description of the show, I like to talk about media, but I've never really talked about TV. So I figured, why not start now? So that being said, let's just dive right into it. What I plan to do is to talk about either some of the TV shows that I have recently watched, some of the TV shows that I'm looking forward to watching, and then some of my top three, whatever's best TV shows that I've fallen in love with over the years. So to go just dive right in, and I could talk about this all day. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a TV junkie. I could binge watch one show in a day. That's just who I am. It's what I do. I love it. It gets me connected very easily. I've always looked at I've always looked at life kind of as like a TV show or a movie. And this is just me being honest. It's always upset me that we can't do the things or travel like how they do in movies. I always think about or TV shows. I'm going to say I don't feel like saying both the whole time, TV shows or movies. So if I say movies, just know that I'm talking about TV shows as well. But it's always upset me that we can't travel or do things the way that they do. It's not that we can't do the things they do, but we can't do it the way that they do them. And what I mean by that is something simple as travel. We'll see for the opening of a film or a TV show, we'll see someone with their hand on their face and they're traveling either in a car or on a bus or something, and it's playing some soft music, and they're going down the highway, and then boom, they're at their house. I've always wanted life to be like that. For me, why can't I just in a split second go from the highway to home? Why do we actually have to travel and go through the 20-25 minute drive? Or we'll see, you could use CSI, or you could use NCIS, or any one of those shows. They'll be oh, we found the person, let's go get them, and then in an instant they'll be outside Freeze. I've always wanted to do that too. Yo, I want to go to my friend's house, and then oh, you're there, you're there now, all right, bet. And then the next shot, I'm outside knocking on his door. But this is real life, and we have to actually go through the motions, and sometimes that sucks, but it is what it is. That's just real life for you. So that was just me giving a little background. I've always loved movies, and now that we have this Netflix world where we can Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus world where we can watch everything in the blink of an eye. It's like my what do they call that? Not my downfall. That's too harsh. It's my pastime. You know what I mean? That's just all. Anytime if I need a break or something, I'm all right, I just want to go watch TV. So what am I watching? Or what do I watch? What am I interested in before I dive into the specific shows? I will literally watch anything. Unless it's gory. I don't do gore. I don't really care about horror. I don't really like paranormal stuff either. I can watch it. I don't, what do they call that? Jump scares, they don't really work for me. I'll go see them to laugh at them. And as the movie nerd I am, I've taken movie classes in college, and I think Did I take any in high school? I don't think so. In college, I took like a film class, and we had to learn like all the tropes of historic movies and horror movies and all these things. So now when I watch jump scares and I hear the music changing, I'm like, oh, someone's coming. And so like people don't even like watching those with me because I'm like, well, count to 10, they'll be here. And like if you look at the way that the camera pans and the music changes like with horror with jump scare type of movies like the Jasons and or like the It's. It is probably a better version. It has some moments where like there's breaking bones and stuff like that, which I hate. But for the most part, it is like a jump scare movie. You're watching the characters, and then out of nowhere, it jumps into your face. So that's the part that's supposed to scare you. But I don't really care for jump scares. I don't like gore. Like I just said, I don't like breaking bones or blood. I actually, a little while ago, I don't know how old I was. Maybe I was like 19 or 20 or something. I remember being home from like a break or something. I don't remember. Maybe I was 17. I don't remember. But I was at my grandma's house. And I made myself like binge all the Saws. Because that was when I was younger. Shout out to my mom. I don't know if she'll remember this. I think it was her. If it wasn't her, I'm sorry for putting this on you. It was somebody. When I was younger, someone wanted to go see Saw, but I was with them. I don't remember if my sister was there or not. But I went to go see Saw at like a early age. And I remember just being in the movie theater and seeing like, it had to be Saw 3 or 2 or something. I remember seeing some pendulum swing and seeing it was just too much gore for me. From that day on, I've never liked that. There used to be this TV show called Scarred or something like that, or where they would get hurt on skateboards and stuff like that. I never watched that. That always was disgusting to me. I don't like bones or blood. I can't do any of that. But I made myself binge watch the Saw movies because I was older and I was like, is it that bad? Like I need to watch this. I need to get through it. So I can say I did it. Because it's actually, if you look at the story, I always love like a story. The Saw story is actually pretty interesting. So I said, all right, like I'll watch it. So I watched all the Saws except 3D, I think. But all right, that's enough jumping around. Or no, that's how I got to there. I was talking about what I am interested in. So that's what I'm not interested in. But what I actually am interested in. I watch anything sci-fi. That's probably my favorite. Action stuff. I can watch like romantic rom-com stuff. Like I don't care. I can watch, like I said, I can practically watch anything. But what I have been watching right now. Oh, and I've also over the last couple of years become a big anime fan as well. Shout out to my boy Preston and Kenny. And Kenny's the one that put me on. The first ever anime that I watched, besides Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff when I was younger, that's a whole different conversation. The way I grew up, I didn't even like know Dragon Ball Z was an anime because anime was looked at as like weird and stuff like that. So everyone was like, oh, Dragon Ball Z, that's like the exception. That's just like a cartoon. But no one called it an anime. It was just cool. Everyone knew about Super Saiyans and Goku and stuff like that. But when I was growing up, all the people that were watching Naruto and stuff like that, they were considered weird. And if you haven't watched one of my videos before, like the way I grew up, anything that was weird was like looked so down upon. You did not want to be weird in my community. If you did something, they'd be like, oh, yo, you weird. Or this is weird or whatever. You did everything you could to stay away from that. At least I did. So until I was older, and so I started to like not care. But so it took me a long time to get into anime. So I've been watching a lot of those recently. But what I'm watching right now, as far as all my shows, and I'll try to go into them one by one, but I just finished a show on Hulu called Devs. That show is crazy. It's created by the same guy. If you never watched Ex Machina, that's a movie, not a TV show. It's by the same director that made that movie. That movie is wild. So his whole directorial not his motives and the things that he does are just crazy. So if you never watched Ex Machina, go watch that. He also has a sequel to that called Annihilation. It's not a sequel, but that's what people are calling it. He has another movie called Annihilation, which is even crazier. And then Hulu or slash FX just had him make a show called Devs, and Devs was crazy. So without getting into any spoilers, basically the show has somewhat of like a futuristic technology with quantum computing. Um, Devs obviously stands for development, so basically you get to learn about the development of this quantum technology and all the ins and outs of like quantum science and stuff, and this guy got so big, and there's a lot to it. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm going to do my best this whole show to not really give spoilers unless I give a spoiler warning. But with that show, that was an awesome show. I would give it like I guess I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't something like Breaking Bad, which is my favorite show of all time. Breaking Bad is like 11 out of 10. It pulls you in, it makes you feel sad, it does everything. Devs was, it was just like exciting to watch. There was a lot of action and a lot of things that made you think, but it wasn't something that, for me anyway, it didn't pull on like my heartstrings and make me get connected to the characters and go like, oh, I could imagine myself as them. It didn't do that for me, but it was still a really good show to watch. So I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I binged that in like 2 days. What else have I recently watched and like finished? I'm trying to think about things that I finished, and then I want to talk about ongoing stuff. This one's kind of like late, but I think everyone at this point has watched the Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit was awesome. That to me was probably like it missed just a little bit of stuff, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. But that show was great. I think I watched that in a day too, maybe 2 days, but I think I watched most of that in a day. The Queen's Gambit was awesome, and it got me back into chess. I used to be a huge chess player when I was younger, and I stopped for a long time. But now over like the last month, my chess app says I've played over like 300 games. I don't play there's longer versions of chess where you could play for hours, but this I just play. It's called Rapid. Each player gets 10 minutes to make moves, and each game probably lasts about anywhere between, on average, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So that's been my second pastime. But the Queen's Gambit, if you don't know what that one was about this woman. Her name is, first she was a child. Her name is Elizabeth Harmon. Everyone calls her Beth. She is an orphan, and in her orphanage, they're making them take like these sedative drugs to keep them from going crazy. But one of the side effects to these sedatives is it can give you kind of like hallucinations. So Beth is like not the I don't want to call her a bad kid, but she's very curious, is what I'll say. Like, she goes into a lot of places she shouldn't go. I don't know if it's her teacher or like her orphan mom. The person who oversees the whole orphanage is like, hey, don't go here, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to the basement. So she goes in the basement to go. This time she actually was told to go to the basement. She had to go clean these erasers as like a punishment. So she's cleaning these erasers, and she sees a chessboard. She sees the janitor playing chess. So as she gets interested, because there's nothing to do in this orphanage, like nothing at all. So she's like, I'm going to keep going down there, getting myself in trouble to clean these erasers so I can go watch him play chess. She watches him play enough, and while she takes her sedatives, she like hallucinates the board while she's sleeping at night. Like, she can see the board on her ceiling. So lo and behold, she becomes like a very good chess player, and there's a whole lot of story to that. So that was done very, very well, I would say. Like I said, I'd give that maybe a 9, maybe a 9.5 out of 10. But I think that's a stretch. I'll stay with a 9. Because if I put it that high, it's like Breaking Bad level. I might even have to give it like an 8.5. Because Rick and Morty and Breaking Bad are 10s out of 10. I don't know if I can give it. Yeah, she can take a 9, but 9.5 is pushing it. So those are the 2 shows I've watched. Oh, And like I said, this is still, I guess, ongoing. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been watching The Boys on Amazon recently. Now that show, the way this story is written, it might, by the time it's finished, it might end up getting a 10 out of 10. This show, the way that they've written it, is crazy. If you haven't watched The Boys and you're interested in like superheroes and that type of content, you gotta watch it. It's not simple like something like, and I don't say this disrespectfully because this is one of my favorite franchises, but it's not something simple like Iron Man or Superman where they're just the good guys and they fight and yay. Like they're the superheroes are going to come out on top. They have some bad enemy and whatever. It's not that simple. Like this is probably the realist, if that's a word. I was trying to think if that's a word. This is probably the realist depiction of what a superhero society would be like in our world. So with The Boys, there are superheroes, and there's a superhero company called Vault, and they are, I don't want to say exploiting, but that's basically what they're doing. They're using the superheroes to their, let's start over. So there are superheroes, and it's what you would think. Like they do stop crime and they whatever, but it's not as much so as like Peter Parker / Spider-Man. Like they don't have many secret identities, and then they're superheroes. So it's kind of like put on display on purpose. Like, hey, these are your superheroes. They live in your area. They make them do just like how they're like celebrities. That's how they are. That's how the whole show is panned out for the superheroes to be celebrities. And they if they stop crime, they have to go talk to PR and talk to their lawyers, their legal team, and they have to go do press conferences. They actually have, you know how we have the MCU, they have the VCU, which is the Vault. This is their version of of their superhero movies. They actually use the real superheroes in the movies, so that to get them more money, to get them more fame, to get them more recognition. But the superheroes are not all good. Some of the superheroes, like, you know how they always, so Batman doesn't use guns and he doesn't like to kill people, right? That's not how these superheroes are. If they're stopping crime or something, they dismantle these people. And sometimes it does get a little gruesome, like a little gory for me, but they destroy these people. Like, if they have to go stop crime, they will split people in half and beat them to death. And then they come out and smile like, oh, the crime is all done and you guys are the real heroes and stuff. But behind closed doors, they always talk like smack about the public. They always, it's just a good show, man. It gives the realist depiction of, or the most realistic is the word I'm looking for. The most realistic depiction of what a superhero society would be like if we actually had one. It wouldn't be all like bells and whistles and shine, and people would be like, oh, with great power comes great responsibility. A lot of people would be like, nah, I got these powers, so I'm going to act good, but I can do whatever I want. Like, who's going to stop me? And that's what a lot of this show is. So that's a good one. But for my anime people right now, obviously I'm watching, or maybe not so obvious, but I'm watching Attack on Titan. That's still ongoing, and it is getting great. I'm watching, we'll jump back into that in a little bit. I'm watching the Promised Neverland, which is also getting really good. It's starting off slow, a little bit slow for me, but it's only on season 2. Like, I can't compare The Promised Neverland with Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan is on its last season. Of course, it's going to be like epic every episode. They're trying to make you like really watch, but The Promised Neverland is on season 2. They're trying to pick it up. Both of those are getting great. And what else I'm watching currently is WandaVision. So I have one Friday show, which is WandaVision, and 2 Sunday shows. So my Friday show is WandaVision, and then on Sunday I watch, it comes out at 3 p.m., is Attack on Titan in The Promised Neverland. So it'll all go from like Friday to Sunday. So WandaVision is awesome. That's an MCU show. That's from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Man. Now this one I'll probably have to talk about spoilers. Maybe I'll see what I could do. If I do talk about spoilers, I will give a spoiler warning before I say anything that's too bad. But if you everything else that's come before WandaVision is I'm spoiling that. Like, you should have been caught up to this. So and the things that are surrounding this show. I'm not saying that it has happened in the show yet or hasn't happened. I can't confirm or deny. But the things that are surrounding the show is also spoiler. Like, it's spoiler free, I guess. It's public knowledge. But this show is the first TV series in the MCU that's like canon, because there have been shows that they've had Marvel has made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they've made, obviously, which wasn't canon for them, but all the Netflix series stuff that Marvel had with Daredevil and Luke Cage and all that. All those are Marvel shows, but it wasn't canon. They weren't going to show up in movies and be like, oh, you guys don't know what has happened. But this is actually part of the MCU. Like, if you're just like, oh, I'm only going to watch the movies and I'm never going to watch the TV shows, then you won't understand what's going on, because this is actually part of it. And actually, WandaVision, from what they're saying right now, is the number. I don't know how they do the ratings anymore because it's not on real TV. I don't know how that works, but they said it's the number one show on TV right now as far as watches, like, per week, that people are watching per week. This is number one. I don't know how they do all that. Regardless, to me, it's good. I don't care if it's the number 10 show. It is a great show. So, WandaVision, if you don't already know the MCU, Wanda Maximoff is Scarlet Witch inside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and she has a husband named Vision. Vision is the AI that came from Ultron when Tony Stark was trying to make Ultron, and then Ultron went all bad. Ultron made the body for Vision. That's how that went. So throughout the series, Wanda and Vision, they end up getting close and they get married and stuff. If you haven't seen, which one is that? Infinity War? Yeah, I think that's Infinity War. During Avengers Infinity War, Thanos comes and kills Vision for the Mind Stone that's in his head, and Wanda stops him at first, and she stops Thanos from getting the stone. She stops him with one hand, and on her other hand, she's breaking the stone. And Thanos is like, no, and then while she's stopping him, he after she destroys it, and she's like sad, like, wow, I had to kill my husband. He turns back time with the time stone, and he's like, sorry, and then he kills Vision again. So Wanda had to watch him die twice. Why is that all relevant? She also, when Thanos did the big snap scene, she disappeared. So she was gone for that 4-year gap, and then he came after Tony obviously did the snap again, and everyone came back. Wanda came back, and then the show takes place right after the events of Endgame. So Endgame happens, and then Wanda goes right to the facility where they're keeping Vision. She goes and gets him, and she tries to create this whole fake reality or fake life where they can spend eternity together. She thinks no one will bother us, and we'll be good. And the way that they do the show, and the way that they're doing the show, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. They completely break they call it the fourth wall. When you talk about things that the viewer knows or what's happening, it's called breaking the fourth wall. And they don't do it completely like how Deadpool does. Deadpool will literally talk to the audience. That's not what this is doing, but they're doing it in a slight way, like a different way. So things that are known to the MCU, like, for example, that whole spiel I just gave about what happened in Infinity War, all of the people in this society know about it too. They know what happened while Thanos was here, while they were fighting. Like, they know about all of that. It's not just something that only we know and doesn't get talked about. So the first thing that happens is the way that the show is being made is Wanda is living her desired reality through like a TV show, which is the TV show we're watching. But not only are we watching it, the people that are trying to figure out what's going on in the show are watching the show as well. And that's the cool part about it to me. And that might be a spoiler. And I don't know, but I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure they already showed that in trailers. But anything else I say after this might be a spoiler. So spoiler alert, spoiler warning, all that good stuff. It's cool to me to know or to see that when something happens in the show so let me back up. The way that Disney and Marvel are doing the show is each episode goes past another decade. So we've seen like it goes from the 60s to 70s, 80s, 90s, and they actually change the format of the screen depending on what it was like back then. So what I mean is right now, or in the early 2000s, full screen was huge as opposed to right now, widescreen is the big thing. So if you're ever watching a show, you probably see or a movie, you see the widescreen and then you see the black bars on the bottom and the top, right? That's widescreen. The full screen is when it's on the whole TV. I don't know why I explained that. You guys already knew that. But if you're watching the show, if you look up the 60s, like whatever the aspect ratio was in the 60s, that's what, whenever we're watching Wanda and Vision, it will be in that aspect ratio. And then when it goes to the reality of 2021, and they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on, the whole angle or the whole aspect ratio will shift. And I think just the things that they're doing in the show are awesome. They have to even figure out what they heard the TV show happening on like a radio communication. To figure out that it was a TV show, they actually had to go and get like an old 50s or 60s TV to quote unquote watch the show. So Wanda is like projecting this whole life of her and her husband through a TV show. And if something bad happens in the world, she rewrites her whole reality, and it brings it up a decade. So let's say we were in the 60s in the first episode, and then something bad happened. The next episode we were in the 70s, and then the 80s, 90s. Right now, the show only has 2 episodes left. We are in, I believe, the 2000s. Like they just did a play on what's that show with Frankie Muniz, I think is that guy's name or something. Malcolm in the Middle. I think Frankie Muniz was in that. But Malcolm in the Middle, they just did a whole play on that. They've done plays on I Love Lucy and not Seinfeld. What's that guy's name? Bundy, Al Bundy. I don't remember the name of the show, but they've like done play. If you watch the show, you'll understand. They also did a Modern Family, like a spoof of that. Or you know how they during some shows they'll go and talk to the camera, like on Bernie Mac. They did that. So I'm spieling or rambling about this one show, but the way they're doing it is great right now. And there's only, like I said, there's only 2 episodes left. So I'm excited to see what happens. There was just a huge twist. I'm not going to tell what episode, because then if someone's watching this later, they're going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to look forward to that on episode blank." I don't like that. I hate that. I don't watch trailers anymore, and I hate knowing what episode I'm on as well, because then psychologically you're expecting something big to happen. Like if you're, and I'm saying like and too much. That's just because my brain is working overtime right now, so I gotta slow down. But if psychologically, if you know that there's 10 episodes in a show and you get to episode 9 or 10 and you're checking every time. Like, what episode am I on? Then you're going to be expecting, okay, I know the show's about to end. Like, where are we at? So I don't even check anymore. Like, if I'm watching something on Netflix, Hulu, whatever, I don't click back so that it says, you were watching episode 12. I just turn the TV off because I don't want to know. That ruins the show for me. Not ruins it, but makes it less enjoyable. Same thing with trailers. If I hear, like, for example, MCU stuff, if I hear that it's going to be in Marvel, I don't need to see the trailer. I don't even want to know what it's about. I'm just going to watch it. The show that's coming up next after WandaVision is called Falcon and Winter Soldier. I have watched one of the trailers for it because it was on the Super Bowl, but it doesn't really show too much. And now there have been like 2 trailers released after. I don't want to watch them. I don't care. I don't want to know. So I do that with movies too. If someone says like, "Yo, there's this new movie coming out and The Rock is going to be in it, or this Denzel is going to be in it, or whatever," I don't need to see a trailer. I don't care. I'm just going to go watch it. And my friend Aleem is the one that put me onto that. Because I actually used to be a huge trailer junkie. And I guess in a way I still am if I don't care too much. But on YouTube, I just used to watch trailers all day. Of either old movies, new movies. Movies and media is just what I've always loved. So I stopped doing that with new stuff. Or if I see a movie on Netflix, I'll read the description and I don't want to see the trailer. I don't want to know all that. Like if I'm about to watch something with my girl, I'll tell her, you can watch it. You tell me if it's worth watching, but if I'm going to watch it, I don't want to know what it's about. I just want it to surprise me. I don't want to go into the expectation of what we do with trailers is then we go looking for that scene that we saw. Oh, that scene looked cool, or this thing. I don't want to know. So that was WandaVision. Attack on Titan is ending as well, which sucks. But Attack on Titan is great right now. No one knows how many episodes they're going to do, which is awesome. Excuse me. Out of all 30 episodes, I don't think I've ever yawned on the camera. That's the first time, so excuse me. But it sucks that Attack on Titan is ending. And I don't know. I don't want to word this. I don't know what the big plan is. So like I said, anything that's happened in season 1, 2, and 3, sorry, it's public knowledge now. And this is actually going to be spoilers. There's no way to talk about this show without spoilers. So if you haven't seen season 4, you can cut to, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes from here, 3 minutes from here. But season 4 is getting crazy. They've obviously introduced new characters with the children, the new what are they calling them? What's the word that they've been calling? Not the recruits. I think that is what they've been calling them. But the kids that are recruits, Gabby and Falco. I think Falco might be his older brother. But whatever. You guys, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know why. I think I'm almost positive his name is Falco. But basically, we've seen new characters added. We've seen plans. We've seen betrayals and trading, and it's crazy. Aaron has gone and hijacked. He's gone and hijacked not Paradise. Paradise is where they're from. Marley is where the original Titans are from. So you're considered a Marleyan. There's Marleyan and there's Eldians. And I hope I'm not rambling too much, but the backstory of the show, or the thing that came out on season 3 last episode, we've never known the history of the Titans this entire time for Attack on Titan. It's just been a guess, wow, this life sucks and the Titans have just been here. But season 3 last episode, they finally gave us the whole history of what's happening. And there's this race of people called Eldians, and they're able to, if they have this serum, they're able to turn themselves into Titans. There's 7 original Titans, and there's a whole backstory on that. But the only part that matters is the Eldians used to, kind of like Alexander the Great, take over everything, but eventually this country stopped them. The country named Marley, and for thousands of years the Titans used to beat up on Marleyans and beat up on really the world, but the Marleyans were able to stop them. So Marleyans ended up making the Eldians flee to a different island, and they weren't all able to go. So all the Eldians and the Titans, they went to this island called Paradise, which is where Aaron and all of our characters that we know are from. But the remaining Eldians are stuck on Marley, and they're treated as like second-class citizens. They're put in like a not a concentration camp, but like a confinement camp. They can't leave this area. They have to wear armbands so everyone knows this person is an Eldian. They get rocks and stuff thrown at them because the way people look at it is they're like, you guys are the reason that like our ancestors died, and they look at them very negatively. They say you guys are like animals and beasts and creatures, and we hate you. And the Eldians are actually taught to hate themselves. They're taught that you guys are like filth, and you guys are devils, and you guys deserve to be in this confinement because of what your ancestors have done. But if you guys train really, really hard and join the army, you can become honorary Marleyans. So there's a lot of people that if their main goal is to get out of the confinement camp, they go and train to be in the army. And if they get into this special program called the like recruitment program to be should I back up there? I'll back up just a little bit. As we know, Eldians are the only ones that are able to become Titans. So Marley works with some of the Eldians to put the Titans into their army. Marley is now like the strongest nation in the world because they have Titans in their army. So if you become a Titan, or a Titan shapeshifter as they call it, like Aaron or like Raynor, if you are able to become a Titan shapeshifter, you only have a 13-year lifespan. So what they do is they get recruits, the strongest, like I guess they are children, that's what they are. They get the strongest children they can find, and they train them up for years on years to become the next like Titan shapeshifter. So, for example, Raynor and his armored Titan, that's going to get passed down to another child, or the Colossal Titan, or whatever, the Beast Titan. So that goes on and on and on. So from there, like I said, they get taught, you guys are the devils and you deserve all this, but you can become an honorary Marleyan if you like train so hard, and you end up being like these Titan shapeshifters. Now they get a different armband. Instead of yellow, it's a red armband, and they're like, look, these people are honorary Marleyans. These are the best of the best. And there's a whole lot. I don't want to dive into too much of the story, but basically there's a whole lot going on, and obviously we've seen from season 1, 2, and 3 that the people of Marley invaded Paradise, is what they end up showing us. They invaded them, and they're the reason why there's Titans in on the island in the first place. What they do is, if someone comes and like, or if someone is, if someone has committed a crime during the you know how in our world, in the real world, we have like the death penalty. If someone creates like or if someone does a horrendous crime, we end up giving them like the chair or like the needle or whatever. In their world, if someone does like some heinous crime, they take them to Paradise and they shoot them up with this liquid, and they turn them into a Titan, and they have them roam Paradise Island for the rest of their days. Now they've done this so much that the Titans have gone to where Aaron and Mikasa and all the characters that we know where they live, which is why the Titans terrorize people when they say you can't leave the wall because there's Titans roaming around. Those are real humans that got turned into Titans. So, like I said, season 1, 2, and 3, we didn't know the history. We were taught, or the writers wrote it so that we thought that the Titans were completely different, like people or something like that. No one knew that they were actually humans. They had a human shape, but they didn't have any genitalia. They didn't have and the only way you could kill them is by hitting the nape of their neck. So everyone was like, well, they can't be human. and they eat humans. So they're like, there's no way. But come to find out that those were prior humans, and anyone with Eldian blood can turn into a Titan. So there's a lot going on. Like I said, we see in season 4, Eren ends up leaving the island of Paradise, going to Marley, and trying to do this huge plan. And we're gonna see what happens. That's all that we know so far. We're gonna see what happens. Now, like I said, that was Attack on Titan. I'm excited to see what happens. This is the final season. I'm glad. It's kind of like a bittersweet type of feeling. I'm glad that they told us this would be the last season, so that we're not. If this season ends, we're not waiting like, well, what's next? So I'm glad that they told us this is it. But I'm kind of like, dang. Now every episode, I'm like, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I know that means characters that we love are going to die. That means, like, if this is it, there's no reason for you to keep people on. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm excited to see what happens. And lastly, because we're running out of time on the show, lastly, I'll briefly talk about The Promised Neverland. There's not 4 seasons worth of content to talk about, but The Promised Neverland is a new anime. And I didn't even talk about My Hero. My Hero's not on right now, but My Hero Academia is a 10 out of 10. That's an anime. It's probably the most popular anime right now, and it is probably one of the best shows I've ever seen made. Not an anime, but just a show. It's up there with Breaking Bad and Rick and Morty. The way that they write that show is genius. Like, I really, really, really hope that whoever's writing or making that show does not like leave and they have to change writers or any of that. Like, the way that they're writing this show is genius. But that's a whole different conversation. Why I brought that up is because Attack on Titan has been an anime since, I guess, like 2012, 2013. So it's new, but not overly new. My Hero has only been out since, I think, 2017 or 18. And then The Promised Neverland is fairly new as well. I think it just came out in 2019. So these are like the new up-and-coming era animes. What else? So The Promised Neverland, I'll do like a quick synopsis on this show, and then I'll a little brief synopsis of season 2. Like I said, nothing has really happened in season 2. Nothing. I mean, I'm not going to call it nothing, but no crazy event where it's like, oh crap. Excuse me, I'm yawning again. I don't even feel that tired. Maybe my body's telling me something different. But with The Promised Neverland, the quick synopsis of this show is, it starts out with these orphans on starts out with this orphanage, and it just looks like a regular orphanage. We see that they have tattoos like on their neck, like there's these numbers, like you know how from the Holocaust era they had numbers on their forearms to say like this is your number. They have those on their necks. So that is weird when you first start the show. But besides that, everything else seems regular. Like they're wearing all like the same pajamas and cool, looks like a happy family, whatever. But come to find out, it's not what it seems at all. And like, spoiler alert if you've never seen the show, there ends up being freaking, what do they even call them? What do they call them? Demons. There ends up being these demons that really rule like the world, and these children are actually, they're not in on an orphanage, they're actually on a farm, and they make them take tests all day and do physical activities to try to get their brain and their bodies to peak positions, or so that they can eat them. They eat the children. Like I said, they're on a farm. It would be like if we made pigs or chickens or cows do physical activities and made them do things so that their meat tasted better, or that they gave us more nutrients or something. So that's what the show ends up turning out to be. And like I said, if you're still watching, you just learned a lot. This is a big spoiler. Like, stop listening. They end up doing what they have to do to escape the farm, the two main characters, and that leads us to season 2, with the demons are chasing them, and they want their meat back because the two people that escaped are the two highest quality. They eat their brains. Sorry to gross people out, but they eat their brains, and it's the only way that they can survive, because it gives the demons their intelligence, and it keeps their bodies in like a human-esque form, for like 2 limbs, 2 legs, 2 arms, you know what I mean, teeth. So the demons are hunting them down, trying to figure out like where did our two what do they call them? They call them like students, I guess, or 2 top. Basically, where's our juicy meat? Like, you imagine you had the best steak in the world, and then it just ran away, basically. So season 2 starts off with that. This show is written by, I believe, by the same person who's am I right about that, or am I wrong? No, I'm wrong about that. That's Attack on Titan. I was about to say the person that wrote Death Note is writing this, but they're right. That person is writing Attack on Titan, which makes a lot of sense. If you have never seen Death Note is regarded as one of the top 10 like best animes of all time. The ending to me was not good, but it definitely was like a mind bender or something. But back to The Promised Neverland. It wasn't, honestly, The Promised Neverland, it's not like a bad show at all, but it's not, you have to be ready to sit there and watch it. It's more of a mind show. It's not like, there's definitely some action. There's literally kids running from demons, like they're trying not to get eaten. But I don't know, it's not like My Hero Academia is kind of like The Boys in a sense, but without all the violence. It's that is about a superhero society, and you actually have to go to school to so let me put it like this. The Boys is the most realistic superhero depiction of what I believe the people would be like. However, it's not the most realistic in like how people get their powers and all that other stuff. My Hero it's the most realistic in how people get their powers and how society would be shaped. However, obviously, it's not the most realistic in the way that that real humans would act. Like, it's a kid show, so there's no cursing, there's nothing like that, or there's no like superheroes aren't going to go and end up being bad guys as well. You know what I mean? Like, superheroes are always going to be the shining capes where it's like, hey, we're good guys. So My Hero is probably the most realistic in a kid sense, or in the tropes that we know as superheroes. It's probably the most realistic depiction of what it would be like, because you can't just go like, everyone has powers, so they're called quirks in this community. But I'm not going to I don't want to dive too much into My Hero because the show's about to end. But basically, in a 30-second synopsis or less, everyone is born with a quirk, which is like some type of power. You could have bigger ears, like, that makes you hear more stuff, or you could fly, or you could be invisible, or you could just have fingers that extend. And you can figure out if you have what it takes to become a superhero. You can go to school to go become one, or you could just be a regular civilian. You can go get a construction job where you use your, or like you could be you could go work for like a hurricane thing where you hear stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you can use your quirk for your job, or you don't have to. You don't have to go be a superhero. So that's what My Hero is about, and I can talk about that some other time. But it's about 8 minutes left in the show. I'll give the floor to anybody that wants to talk about any TV that they're watching, or ask me about anything. If there are no questions, we will go Attack this Tuesday, and that will be the end of episode 30. And I know I rambled a lot. I was doing my best to not give spoilers, but give spoilers. I was trying to get people interested in the shows, but then at the same time, people that are already interested in the shows, I wanted them to hear about what I like about the shows. So today was a little bit chaotic, I will admit that, but I still had a good time doing it. And next time, when it's better planned out, I'll do it again. So I'll open up the floor to anybody, and we'll see what happens. All right, if there's no questions, like I said, we will go attack this Tuesday, February 23rd. This was episode 30, TV Time Tuesday. And I promise we will definitely do this again, but it'll be just a little bit more planned out. Like I said, this was last minute. I don't ever mind telling you guys the truth. This is my show. What do you guys want to do about it? I was working on my house really late last night, so I didn't get to plan the show how I want to. Normally, I look up like a topic and then try to do some research late at night and then early in the morning, so that I am knowledgeable on what I'm telling you guys. I don't ever want to give you guys false information. But because I couldn't do that, I had to talk about things that I already know about. And like I said, we will definitely do this again with a little bit more planning. And I hope you guys enjoy. You can follow me on all social media platforms at the Duron Coles. If you're still here, like at the end of this, you please like just go support me. You know what I mean? If you've watched it this long. So like I said, I tell everybody, I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow here 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Peace.